Alright, let's talk business. I was scouring the internet via Google search. Immediately, the first result I had, Basara. Basara?
Basara.
Hi! Do you want to be in the video? No? Alright, precious people. Let's get this party started. There's a baby in the bag.
Basara.
This episode is brought to you by me and no one else. Basara. Basara. Not to be confused with Basara Sengoku, a video game series developed and created by Capcom. Yumi Tamura is the author, also known as Tam Tam. In her cute little drawings, she refers to herself as Tam Tam a lot. Picture this. 1990 to 1998 serialized chapters. The best enemies to lovers romance according to forums online. Never heard of it. I asked some of my friends, people who are extensively much more in the manga than me, never heard of it. So why does somebody on the forum say, Basara, hands down, is the best enemies to lovers romance manga? I have to investigate. Little did I know, Basara looks old as heck. It is the 90s. That didn't stop me. I'm very glad it didn't. Alright, I have Viz Media, so I read it there. 106 chapters, 27 volumes. I'm actually on like volume 100 of One Piece or something, and I cannot believe how much stuff was fit into this manga. It just felt longer, you know? Regardless, there are some warnings. Essay violence, unclothedness, mature themes. It's not a kid's manga. Everyone's at war. Thematically, there's unity, betrayal, loyalty, morality, revolution, politics, gender, and more. Alright, so Sarasa is this young girl. Japan has reduced to this barren land, alright? This girl Sarasa is living in her desert village, and her brother is Tatara. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing these names right.
Tatara.
So, Tatara is this prophesized leader of the people to take over Japan and bring back its flourishing... Gosh, I don't know. Charlie, you look so cute. So this guy, Nagi, I believe, not perfectly sure how it's pronounced. So Nagi is blind and he can prophesize, he sees the future, he knows what's going to happen. So he knows that Tatara is going to be the leader of this revolution that will destroy the current king and kingdoms of Japan. Basically, take out the evil guys, insert a democracy. So, of course, the kings, you've got the Black King, who is residing in the current capital of Kyoto. And you have his sons, who are all leading different parts of Japan. You've got the Red King in the city of Suo, which is like very south. You've got the Blue King. I mean, you get it. The Red King sends his people through this village to kill Tatara because they don't want him taking down the Red King. Tatara gets beheaded. This is in the first chapter, so this is going to be like mostly spoiler free. Okay, I hate spoilers. Tatara gets beheaded. Sasara is there, and she's like, oh my god, my brother just died, because they're twins. And everybody's like, oh my god, because Tatara just died. Well, the enemies don't think that Tatara died, because Sarasa looks just like him. So she's like, oh crap, man, they think that I'm my brother? Okay, maybe I can like scare them, leave my people out. She ends up doing that, and never really gets rid of the role. She takes it on, and everybody is scared of Tatara, which is now her, and she becomes amazing, and Long story short, because you should read it and explore for yourself. So she begins a quest to collect the 4 treasured swords divided across the lands of Japan. There's actually history about the swords you'll learn. It's very cool. And it's got a lot. The story has characters that you hate, love, kind of hate but root for. A lot of disabled characters are represented. Intense revenge-fueled characters. And I mean, Japan is just doomed without intervention. Characters often philosophize about government and democracy, freedom, what the government should look like. They travel to Okinawa, which have a presidency established. They talk a lot about personal legacy, including characters that are forced to choose between love and country, face enslavement, loss of family, tarnishing reputation, and more. I mean, it's got everything. You've got an undercover Milan figure fighting for a whole nation, you know. You've got a one-eyed dancing guy who's somehow everywhere, nowhere, all at once. He's honestly maybe one of my favorite characters of all time. You've got the spoiled Zuko character who hates dad and also goes through a bald phase. And more. Cute messenger owls, green prison breaks, pirates, a desert, which I love deserts. If you love Dune, you love deserts. An intense scholar who tries to document the entire thing happening all around and more. I especially love that all the characters from all sides interact with each other. Either they interact with each other not knowing who each other are, or they do, and you know, they create nemesis and all. Or they all accidentally almost meet each other, or meet whoever they're looking for, and you know, they just barely miss each other, which I love as a dynamic. I know that Game of Thrones really has that. I just think it's really cool to see how people interact with each other in that space. Overall, I love Basara. This is probably my favorite manga now. It gave me a lot of like Avatar The Last Airbender vibes, but before Avatar The Last Airbender even existed. I mean, Tam Tam introduces characters that really grab you and you create a connection with them, even if they're a minor character or they're kids. I mean, personalities really shine through. No one character kind of feels the same. You create this connection with the character really fast, and then they die, or not, you know, I'm just joking. Sometimes they die. And you're like, what? Like, I initially hated them, or I just met them. Why am I about to cry right now? I would actually find myself mad when a new character would get introduced because, like, this big thing was happening with this other character right before that. I want to see more of that. And then a few panels would go by and I'd be like, actually, this is okay. I want to see what happens now. It's like a rare talent when you're making something like this. So some people online, I mean, I didn't look at a lot of stuff online. I was just curious what other people thought. A lot of people found some parts confusing, or like it was lulling and they're like, man, I can't keep up with the characters. Like, some people I get confused with, or like, you know, I mean, I feel like that could happen in any manga. With this one, there are a lot of characters. It didn't really bother me. I thought that the large variety of cast was one of the things I loved about it. Tam Tam supports commentary that you can accomplish anything as long as you have people on your side, you have unity. A lot of the times, rivalries and conflicts could have been avoided, and a lot of them do get avoided because they stop and think for a second and see how they can benefit each other. I just thought it was a very complex story for such, like, I mean, it's practically like a shoujo. And I mean, the premise isn't very complicated. After all, your kings are named after colors. And I mean, you've got a romance going on, you know, it doesn't take itself like extremely seriously. And you could say I'm even overhyping it just because I enjoyed it so much. But there's a lot of commentary there. And one thing that I really like about this manga is that you do see good people fighting good people, which is something that I liked about like other manga where maybe you have two different sides, like Tokyo Ghoul, for example. You really kind of create a connection and you see where some of the people are at. Philosophically, like, you think you know what's good for your side and what's good for the existence that you have going on and how you will succeed in the future. I mean, it's the same thing here. But you'll see people that normally would get along and would maybe even have the same values and the same idea on Like if they sat down together and they were like, actually we could do this instead, it would work. So good people fight good people, sometimes for the wrong reasons, but also sometimes because they jump too fast into conclusions or revenge rather than forgiveness. I love the main characters, their dynamic, their romance, but mostly their conviction and growth when faced with responsibility, loyalty, and war. Side characters even, the people that you might even see once. I love the plot twists when characters actually reveal their hand and they're like, just kidding. But like, it's not in a bad way. It's in a, oh my gosh, of course it wouldn't have worked if he didn't do that. Or, okay, thank God, because I was about to hate him, but it makes sense that he was portraying it that way. It's those moments I like. So mostly, and I mean, I really don't have the words for it, I loved the portrayal of gender and women in this story. I mean, Sarasa was a character that felt like Jo in Little Women, or Elizabeth Bennet in Pride and Prejudice. They're complex female characters that are realistic, that have a healthy relationship with femininity, masculinity. I mean, just like they know who they are, they know how to feel, they don't deny their emotions. At least, yeah, I could say that for all of them. But Sarasa, I mean, like, she's leading this life as Tadara, trying to fight and lead a bunch of people, not all men, but lead a bunch of people, pretending to be this masculine persona. She's both at peace with it while also fighting to live up to this expectation, but also having, you know, her feminine desires. It's just refreshing to see, especially like in manga. Not saying like, you know, all manga are like women or like the girls don't have personality or anything. You know what I'm saying? She's caught between leadership and responsibility, her expectations as a man and as a woman, caught between her love interest while she also has a responsibility. Sabrina. The women in the story were victims of war and greed, or of station or political manipulation, but they were also powerful wives, powerful weapon-wielding women, some of them voicing their complaints about being a woman. I mean, they had dreams, complex stories, and I do not have words for Agaha at this time. I have no words. He is one of my favorite characters. I loved Shuri, I really did, and I loved Kaku, and I loved Hayato. I actually loved like a lot of the characters, even the ones that like were kind of bad, but like it's so easy to empathize with a lot of them. Anyway, I love him. He's a man of the wind. Once you get to the finale, there are extra volumes. I was kind of disappointed by the finale, and I was like, oh my god, what? And then I realized there were extra volumes. I was like, okay. I was like, I just wanted a little bit, like, honestly, I would have been perfectly fine with it, but I'm so glad that there were some extras, because there's some side stories in history. There's events after the finale, which I loved, because while I loved the finale, I thought there could have been just a little bit more to satisfy me, and there was. And there's events preceding the first volume, where it's showing the first insurgency of Japan and the meaning behind the title Basara, which I just thought was very cool. It wasn't like super long or anything, but I thought it was very interesting. Overall, a 10 out of 10. This is my first manga review. I loved it. This is my first time reading like a bunch of shoujo back to back to back. I read a lot of shoujo this summer. I've read a lot of, not a lot of shonen, but like I read My Hero Academia and Jujutsu Kaisen and 100 chapters of One Piece. So it was really refreshing to read shoujo. This is my favorite shoujo. I think High School Debut is taking second spot right now, but I might make some more reviews. I just felt like getting this out there because more people need to read this. If you're a girly who loves enemies to lovers romance, war, Mulan, Zuko, there was only one cat and it was just in one panel, but there's cute little owls, messenger owls, 90s manga. I thought it was lovely. Tam, thank you so much for writing this. You have truly made my day. And that's it for my review. Bye. Who's that? Is that Crash? Crash, is that you? Is that you? Yeah. Oh, I see a tail. I forgot to mention that Basara has an anime that only ran locally in Japan, as far as I know. That's as far as the manga said. And I think it was only 13 episodes. I haven't watched it yet. I hear it's fairly loyal to the manga, but it only covers the first 5 volumes. I will watch it. I might tell you how it is. Okay, bye. A special thanks to Charlie, our audience, who diligently sat there. Thank you, Charlie. Love you. Oh, he's sniffing you.